Hi, this is Tomonori, your instructor for Japanese 103. Today, we'll talk about tari suru. Okay. So, tari suru, the function of tari suru is basically it combines two verbs in the same sentence. So, you can talk about two things in the same sentence. Okay. And for that constructions, we use something called ta form. Okay, so we use ta form twice. So what is ta form? And ta form is very simple. So ta form is also known as it is also known as a plain past affirmative. Okay. So that is basically the plain form of the past tense. Okay. And it has a special name. So it's instead of saying plain past affirmative, it's called as ta form because it sounds almost identical to te form. So that's why it's called ta form. Okay. So let's do a quick review of te form. So let's start with the irregular verbs because irregular verbs you just have to memorize. Shimasu. Te form is excuse me. Change the color. Shite. Kimasu. Te form is kite. Right? So you just have to memorize these two verbs. Shimasu is shite. Kimasu is kite. Let's move on to the ru verb. Tabemasu. Te form is tabete. So basically you just add the te to the stem. So tabemasu becomes tabete. Mimasu becomes mite. Okimasu, okite. Akemasu, akete. Shimemasu, shimete. Okay. So stem plus te. U verbs are somewhat more complicated. If the stem of the u verb ends with u or tsu or ru, that becomes te. Te. So for example, cow. Sorry, not stem. A short form ends with u or tsu or ru. It becomes te. So cow is katte. Matsu is matte. Okay. So the stem ends with u or tsu or ru. That becomes te. If the stem ends with mu or bu or nu, that becomes nde. So for example, yomu. Te form is yonde. Asobu. Asonde. So, becomes nde. Okay. Ku or gu becomes ite or ide. So for example, kaku becomes kaite or oyogu, oyoide. Oyoide. So ite or ide. す becomes して、話す becomes 話して、移るって部分でグイてスーです。Is that it? Okay, so these are how you conjugate the U verbs into te form, right? So, assuming that you're already comfortable with te form, all you have to do to get ta form is to change te to ta or de to da. Okay? So, for example, して、the ta form of します is した。ta form of 来ます is 来た。ta form of 食べます is 食べた。ta form of 買う is 買った。待つ、待った。読む、読んだ。So now de becomes da instead of ta. 読んだ。遊ぶ、遊んだ。書く、書いた。泳ぐ、泳いだ。話す、話した。Okay? So that's how you make ta form. So finally you can use this. Okay? So again, whole purpose of using tari is to use two verbs in the same sentence. So you have to have two verbs. Both verbs becomes ta form. The first one is followed by ri. The second one followed by ri suru or ri shimasu. So for example, we say 食べたり飲んだりする。Or 読んだり書いたりする。So that's how you use the two verbs, both of them ta form. Okay. In fact, that you can repeat this part as many times as you want. If you want to talk about 3 or 4 different verbs in the same sentence, you can actually say things like 書いたり読んだり、飲んだり、遊んだりする。As long as the last one ends with りする, you can repeat this part as many times as you want. Okay. So let's take a look at the example. コーヒーを飲んだり、寿司を食べたりします。コーヒーを飲んだり、寿司を食べたりします。Again, ta form here. The first one is り。And second one is りします or りする. And this one says, I drink coffee and eat sushi. So you just combine two verbs together. Here, 友達と勉強したり遊んだりします。友達と勉強したり遊んだりします。I study with friends and play with them. And then here, you might say that you can already say this. You have already studied how to say this, which is using te form. Okay, so you probably remember structure like コーヒーを飲んで寿司を食べます。I think you remember that if you want to use two verbs in the same sentence, you learn that you have to use te form for the first verb, right? So that's how you combine two verbs. コーヒーを飲んで寿司を食べます。Okay. So this one is exactly the same as this one. So in translation, in English translation, it's exactly the same. I drink coffee and eat sushi. But there are very subtle differences between those ta form and te form. So let's start with te form. Okay, so let's focus on this one. So if you use te form to combine two verbs, two things, you're indicating two things. Okay, the first, there is a strict sequence. Okay, so it indicates that the first thing you said happens first and followed by the second thing you said. So in this example, you drink coffee and eat sushi. It's not eating sushi and drinking coffee. So there's a very specific order for that. It also indicates that this is an exhaustive listing. In other words, these are the two things you did. So you presented everything you did, and you did nothing else. So you probably didn't drink tea, or you didn't eat pizza, right? So you drank coffee, you drink coffee and eat sushi, nothing else. Okay. When you use tari tari, so this structure, none of these assumptions hold. Right? So if you say コーヒーを飲んだり、寿司を食べたりします、there's no strict sequence. You're just showing the examples. So maybe you ate sushi first, but you just can say コーヒーを飲んだり、寿司を食べたりします because again, タリタリ doesn't imply there's a sequence. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that tari tari is what we call example listing. In other words, these are just examples of you did. So this implies that you might have done something else. You're just presenting examples, and you might have more things you could have talked about. Right? So maybe you drank tea or you ate pizza. We just don't know because you're just presenting some examples. Okay, so here again, there is no strict sequence. And these are the examples. So you may have done something other than these. Good. If you think about this, Japanese cares about this difference a lot. And in Japanese 101, you study the two different and. So we can say pen. Pen to note. Or pen ya note. So to and ya, both of them are and in English. So if you translate pen to noto, pen ya noto, they're all same in English. But again, Japanese cares about the difference between example listing and exhaustive listing. And that's why we have two different and, to and ya. So pen to noto is almost the same as a te form. So this is exhaustive listing. Pen to noto are two things you have, right? You probably don't have anything else. So these are the two things because you're listing items exhaustively. Okay. On the other hand, pen ya noto, this is a typical example listing. You're just giving some examples implying that you may have something else. Pen ya noto implies that you might have marker or you might have highlighters. Right? So that's the difference between them. So again, you're gonna see you see like the same difference appearing in different places because in Japanese there's a distinction between exhaustive listing and example listing. Okay, let's do exam. Okay. So, たりする、behaves as if irregular verb because it ends with する. Right? So, like, する, regular verb, it follows the irregular pattern, する, しない, した, しなかった. So this is I didn't do. No, sorry, I don't do. I did, and I didn't do. Okay. Okay, so let's practice. So again, you're gonna see translation in the comment section. So if you wanna see translation, you can see there. Let's try to read it and make your best guess about the meaning of the sentence. 1番、休日にはよく本を読んだり音楽を聴いたりします。休日にはよく本を読んだり音楽を聴いたりします。休日 is holidays. 2番、昨日は友達と映画を見たりカフェでおしゃべりをしたりしました。昨日は友達と映画を見たりカフェでおしゃべりをしたりしました。おしゃべり is a chat, to chat. 3番、週末は公園でジョギングをしたりヨガをしたりするのが好きです。週末は公園でジョギングをしたりヨガをしたりするのが好きです。4番、彼は趣味で絵を描いたり詩を書いたりしています。彼は趣味で絵を描いたり詩を書いたりしています。詩 is a poem. 5番、夏休みには海外旅行に行ったり祭りに参加したりしました。夏休みには海外旅行に行ったり祭りに参加したりしました。6番、このレストランではイタリア料理を食べたりワインを楽しんだりできます。このレストランではイタリア料理を食べたりワインを楽しんだりできます。できます is can do. So I can enjoy wine. 8番、朝は顔を洗ったり朝食を作ったりします。朝は顔を洗ったり朝食を作ったりします。8番、子供たちは公園でサッカーをしたりかくれんぼをしたりするのが大好きです。子供たちは公園でサッカーをしたりかくれんぼしたりするのが大好きです。かくれんぼ is hide and seek. Hide and seek. 9番、冬に雪だるまを作ったりスノーボードをしたりします。冬に雪だるまを作ったりスノーボードをしたりします。10番、私の姉は休みの日には掃除をしたりベーキングをしたりすることが趣味です。私の姉は休みの日には掃除をしたりベーキングをしたりすることが趣味です。ベーキングします is literally translated as a do baking. So the cooking like you bake sweet, right? You like baking, to bake. 11番、彼女は毎朝ヨガをしたりストレッチをしたりして一日を始めています。彼女は毎朝ヨガをしたりストレッチをしたりして一日を始めています。一日 in this sentence, it's used as a day, right? So it doesn't mean like 1 day or 2 days. It's just like talking about the day. So 一日を始めます is to start the day. 12番、晴れた日には写真を撮ったり自転車に乗ったりします。晴れた日には写真を撮ったり自転車に乗ったりします。13番、 父はガーデニングをしたり、日曜大工をしたりするのが趣味です。父はガーデニングをしたり、日曜大工をしたりするのが趣味です。14番。彼は外国語を勉強したり、外国の勉強をするのが好きです。彼は外国語を勉強したり、外国の文化を勉強するのが好きです。外国語 is a foreign language and 文化 is culture. So 外国の文化 is a foreign culture. So culture different from yours. 15番。私たちは夜にキャンプファイヤーをしたり、星を見たりするのが楽しみです。私たちは夜にキャンプファイヤーをしたり、星を見たりするのが楽しみです。星 is star. 子供たちが夏休みになると水泳をしたり、キャンプをしたりします。子供たちが夏休みになると水泳をしたり、キャンプをしたりします。水泳 is swimming. 日本に来てからはお寺や神社に行ったり、日本の文化を勉強することが多くなりました。日本に来てからはお寺や神社に行ったり、日本の文化を勉強することが多くなりました。お寺 is the temple. 神社 is a shrine. このアパートでは屋上でバーベキューをしたり、夜景を楽しんだりできます。このアパートでは屋上でバーベキューをしたり、夜景を楽しんだりできます。屋上 is a rooftop and 夜景 is a night view. 私は最近野菜をたくさん食べたり、ジムで運動したりしています。私は最近野菜をたくさん食べたり、ジムで運動したりしています。春になると花見をしたり、新しい楽器の準備をしたりします。春になると花見をしたり、新しい楽器の準備をしたりします。花見 is the flower viewing. It's usually cherry blossom. So you just have a party, a picnic when the cherry blossom is in bloom. 楽器is a semester. 準備 is the preparation. Okay. So let's make Japanese sentences. 21番 I drink coffee and study Japanese at Starbucks. スターバックスでコーヒーを飲んだり、日本語を勉強したりします。22番学校でクラスに行ったり、友達に会ったりします。23番日曜日はテレビを見たり、ゲームをしたりします。24番マンハッタンでショッピングをしたり、レストランで食べたりします。25番地下鉄で音楽を聴いたり、本を読んだりします。26番今学期、日本語を勉強したり、アルバイトしたりします。27番夏に日本に行ったり、海で泳いだりします。28番週末は友達と映画を見たり、カフェで話したりします。You can use おしゃべりする。29番I think something is wrong with this sentence. Okay. これでいい。 友達はOK。友達は音楽が好きだったり、ギターを弾いたりします。Strange sentence. Something is wrong. Boo. 30番。毎晩本を読んだり、音楽を聴いたりします。31番。This is also strange. Let's do this. うちのパーティーでみんなゲームをしたりダンスしたりします。Okay. And then again, these are some situations that you might want to use たりたりする。So, please come up with a few sentences using たりたり。Thank you and see you in class.